Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Logos for a very special gathering featuring two of our four inaugural Starshine and Clay Fellows, Michael Frazier and Asmaa Jama, reading with Malcolm Tariq. Tonight's gathering is a collaboration lovingly presented with Cave Canem, a home for Black poetry here in America and across the globe. Logos is a project of EcoTheo Collective, where our aim in all things is to celebrate wonder. My name is Travis Helms, and I'm the founder and curator of Logos Poetry Collective. I'll be serving as MC this evening, along with my co-executive director of EcoTheo Collective, Jason Myers, and we are so delighted, overjoyed, and honored that you have joined us for this very special and sure to be life-giving gathering. Logos started with a conversation and a bit of curiosity. One of my friends and I were discussing how transactional poetry readings can sometimes feel, as if you're either passively absorbing poetry as an audience member or discharging it or unloading it on audience members from a podium. And we started wondering what it might look like to lovingly, caringly, non-dogmatically incorporate aspects of sacred ritual into the format of a poetry reading. And out of that conversation came Logos Poetry Collective. So we'd love to give you a quick orientation of how this evening will unfold, and then we'll have a chance to begin enjoying this work of our featured poets and also celebrating the work and legacy of Cave Canem elder Lucille Clifton. So following these words of welcome, we're going to begin by reading an opening invocation text together. I'm going to invite us to take a moment of quiet to ground and center ourselves in the space, then ring this meditation bell. And after a moment, you'll have a text of this opening poem, Won't You Celebrate With Me, by Lucille Clifton, presented on the screen in front of you. Portions of this poem will be bolded, and we invite you to say those bolded words aloud into the space around you. Because Zoom doesn't do a good job of picking up from multiple microphone sources, we invite you to keep your microphones muted, but to still speak those lines aloud to add your voice to that of the collective. We'll then welcome and introduce our first reader, Michael Frazier. Followed by Michael's reading, we'll introduce our second reader, Asmaa Jama, and then we'll have a reading by our third featured reader, Malcolm Tariq. Following Malcolm's reading, we'll have some curated conversation with our poets, and we'll invite you to drop any questions or thoughts into the chat feed. We'll then share a little bit about what's coming up at Logos, at Cave Canem with EcoTheo Collective, and we'll close our time together with a reading of another antiphonal poem, this beautiful benediction piece, Irony, by Camilla Aisha Moon. So typically, if we were hosting a Logos gathering in person, we'd be at Lazarus Brewing Company in East Austin, gathered around some polished pine tables beneath some enchanting bistro lights, enjoying abundant chips and guac and queso and libations together. We've done our best to translate Logos's liturgically inflected way of gathering on to the Zoom platform from analog. And so we are so excited and delighted to have this chance to celebrate these two phenomenal fellows, as well as Malcolm Tariq and Lucille Clifton's legacy with you. So friends, I'd invite you to take a moment to ground and center yourselves in the space, to close your eyes if you'd like, to bring your attention to your breath, to the presence of spirit. And I'll ring our meditation bell, and then after a few moments of quiet, we'll begin this opening invocation reading together. Welcome, everyone. We're so glad you're here.
So Won't You Celebrate With Me is a special poem for the Starshine and Clay Fellowship because it is by Lucille Clifton, who inspired much of what the fellowship has blossomed into. And of course, the name comes from this very poem, which we will hear tonight. Won't You Celebrate With Me by Lucille Clifton. Won't you celebrate with me?
What I have shaped into a kind of life,
I had no model,
born in Babylon,
both non-white.
and woman.
What did I see to be except myself?
I made it up
Here on this bridge,
between starshine and clay.
my one hand holding tight.
My other hand,
Come celebrate with me.
that every day
Something has tried to kill me.
and has failed.
It's always a hard act to follow Lucille Clifton, but it is my great pleasure now to introduce our first poet, Michael Frazier. I pour the Trinity into the pan, Michael Frazier writes in Mother and Son as Oyakodon 1. And though the Trinity he's referring to are cooking ingredients, dashi, mirin, soy sauce, he might as well be talking about God. Frazier understands the relationship between tasting and seeing the goodness of the Lord, between feasting and blessing, between hunger and righteousness. In this series of poems that explore an intimate relationship sustained across great distance, the son in Japan, the mother in the United States, we are made to feel our intimate relationship sustained across great distance with God. It is through the revelatory powers of the tongue, what it says, what it swallows, that Frazier makes poems both tender and fierce. Our Starshine and Clay judge Gregory Pardlow, in selecting Frazier's work, says his poems capture multiple angles at once. Through a feat of generosity, the speaker avoids being the source and center of attention without losing any of the intimacy of voice that makes his poems so endearing. Even our hurt can serve a purpose, Frazier writes in Craters, which I believe may be the only poem I've ever read about popping pimples. Frazier isn't afraid to write about unusual subjects, though he's equally adept at writing in fresh ways about material that poets like Clifton and Pardlow have addressed before him. Frazier is a poet and educator living in central Japan. His poetry has been honored with Tinderbox's 2020 Brett Elizabeth Jenkins Poetry Prize, honorable mentions for both Rhino's Editor's Prize and Counterclock's Emerging Writer Award, and Pushcart Prize and Best New Poets nominations. His poems appear in Poetry Daily, The Offing, Cream City Review, and elsewhere. In his poem, After Marching at the Manhattan #BLM protest for Alton Sterling and Philando Castile, I Try to Pray, he writes, "It is finished, but not done. We are so grateful for all that is still not done in this poetic career. Friends, please welcome Michael Frazier."
Wow, now me feeling encouraged and nervous. Thank you, Jason. That was amazing. Thank you for your kind words. I can't blush, but if I could, I would be very pink right now. Okay, I guess I'll just start with poems. So today I'm going to read 4 pieces. Given we're at EcoTheo, I'm going to read a little Ars Poetica. And then I'll do a little positionality poem from my childhood. I'll share a prose piece about my mother. I'm writing a collection about my family, but largely my mother. And then I'll end with another positionality type statement of, my experiences in Japan. Okay, so I'll start. Ars Poetica. At church, I tell my mom she's singing off key, and she says, I ain't off key. I just stepped out the key so that when I return, you can understand the key a little bit better. The preacher isn't the only teacher. Why hit a note on the head when I can kill it? You mean to tell me you come here week after week and want the same old amazing grace? Just 'cause the blood will never lose its power don't mean a melody won't. My ministry may not be song, but I got a song to sing. I done made it from Sunday to Sunday. You expect me not to celebrate and thank God with my hands raised, my flats off, my full and open throat? You eat what you are, Caitlin, my classmate said, as I licked the cream clean from an Oreo. I was the only black boy in the gifted program. Sunshine State reader medals, flawless FCAT scores, a myth and high waters. Who enjoyed middle school? Fat ass, bucktooth, bookworm, I wore many caps. Read every book. Escapism, but make you pay my college tuition. Buy my parents' love seats and wide screens. Every year we watched Roots. They hung Kizzy over my head, said, you so lucky you don't got to learn in secret. Speech therapy twice a week, 'cause why not? It was free. Leapfrog phonics before bed. Chalkboards drilled into our bedroom walls. The word memorized for Wednesday night services. Summers in libraries under someone else's AC. Dad spat stories of Tuskegee police canines trailing his kin like a low GPA. For every A he gave me a buck and ooh, I could hurt a Dollar Tree. Teachers would say, he's so behaved, so obedient, so polite. My mom would laugh, y'all ain't never seen Home Training before? No matter our address, Black Jesus hung above the dinner table. We said amen and Mom scooped collard greens into my plate. Dad lathered his chicken breast with Louisiana, tore skin from white meat. In the kitchen, the waft of chocolate chip cookies cooling. I asked the room, am I an Oreo? At the same time, with the same breath, my parents laughed short and hard, said, the only thing white about you is how bright your future is. True stories. Okay, this next piece, so is my first time writing prose, so I'm excited to share it. And it's called Other Names for Mother. What else should I say? I'm writing a collection about my family, but I'm taking a break from it. But this was helping me trying to really get into the minutia of the different members of my family, but specifically my mom, who, you know, I have a really great relationship with, and she teaches me so much. I mean, it's reciprocal. I think it's one of the unique parts of our relationship. Okay, I'm buying myself time because this is a longer piece. This is called Other Names for Mother, and it's like little vignettes, so I'm just going to be jumping from scene to scene. Okay. Other Names for Mother. Standing outside Sticky Lips with your mother, a man rolls down his window, spits, damn sis, you bootyful, reminds you she's a woman before a mother. Pumping gas into her Cobalt while she fixes her lace front in the front seat. A man in a Ford 150, green like your father's, stops next to your mother's car, eyes you, then her, and says, why you with that nigga when you can be with me? Outside the principal's office, your mother is fitted in a brown baby fat bodysuit. You're wearing the matching chocolate hoodie she brought hours earlier, and she'll laugh because you still got the tag on. To your left, two girls sighing up a storm. You're waiting to be called down for the parent-teacher meeting when the principal walks out, yelling at the girls, including your mother, saying, at this here school we don't fight in class, and wipe that smirk off your face. Your mother, slowly, I'm not one of your little students. I'm Michael's mother. And he goes bright red like a whoopee cushion and says, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. You look young enough to be Michael's sister. Now, whenever she visits the school, Michael's sister's here, telephoning down the halls. Miss Frazier? Kyra from class 2B asks. Yes? she responds, while pouring canned peaches into a large white bowl. Can you be my mama? My mother spoons batter into an aluminum pan. 'Cause I can talk to you about anything and you so fun. My mother asks, can you cook? No, Kyra says. Can you clean? Kinda, Kyra says. Well, you at least work? I just quit Wegmans last week, Kyra says. Then you just gonna be another mouth to feed. Michael and Jamichael already got tapeworms in them. And laughing, she brings a spoon to Kyra's mouth and asks, how this tastes? Damn, if you don't look like your mother, the CNA training you says, guiding you from room to room. It's your first day as a hospitality aide at the same nursing home that employs your mother. While you serve apple juice to the table who refers to themselves as the Golden Girls, you watch your mother fly from intercom to intercom, carrying blankets, pushing pulleys, ushering dementia patients back into their beds. You eat lunch together. As co-workers, you order cheesesteaks from DeBella's. As you walk down the hall talking about how good boss sauce is, you're stopped by a raspy no from the dark of an unlit room. A resident shouts, I don't want your dark ass, bring me the light-skinned one, the one with the big booty. And Paco, who? You mean Trina? And before you could unclench your jaw to protest, your mother brushes past you, now Harold. What I told you about talking like that. She laughs as she walks into the room. Later, all the CNAs will gawk and one will say, girl, Harold only listens to you. And she'll just laugh, and you'll realize laughter is the hardest armor one owns. Cotton candy, sweet and low, let me see that Tootsie Roll. She shouts, Tootsie Roll, and Shiny shouts, Tootsie Roll, and they both rise and abandon their strawberry lemon daiquiris on the table and begin dancing to the left, to the right, to the front, to the back, until she starts to notice some sweat on her back and says, Chinese, you know I don't do sweat. And they both laugh as they sit and eye the barbecue ribs across the room. Chinese will say, girl, I'm so glad you my friend, 'cause who else would start dancing in the middle of Applebee's 5 p.m. on a Wednesday? Mom, mommy, mama, mom, mummy, mama. Before you can finish mimicking Stewie from that episode in Family Guy where he drives his mom into child-killing nightmares with his nagging, your mother has conjured a wooden spoon out of thin air. In a low voice she says, say mom one more time. And because you're hard-headed, you slowly unfurl her government name, country, and dart out the room laughing as she throws the spoon at your head. At Grandma's, the sweet of butter bread and thick-cut ham wakes you. Your eyes are still closed. You hear a crowd shouting TD Jakes down on TBN. Your grandmother's voice saying, baby, come here. What's wrong? You hear a weight shift the plastic on the couch. You hear your mother's voice, soft, so soft you can't decipher it, and are those tears? Before living with Grandma, before the divorce, Baby by Ashanti fills the room with piano and longing. Your father leaning into your mother as you watch from the stairs. He's whispering into her ear. Hear her laugh. Hear her say stop, then laugh. Your father's voice is a low croon you'll never scrub from your head. He say, baby, what's wrong? And she laughs and leans into his question. Michael, you can't let no words hurt you. They used to call me all kinds of things. Uppity, bougie, fast, stuck up, light-skinned heifer. They was just mad 'cause I was cute and couldn't be touched when I went to school with my baby doll socks and 6-inch heels. You gonna sit there moping about who do and don't like you and let this cheesy, spicy, buffalo chicken dip go to waste? I didn't think so. She says, I am blessed, I am favored, I am the head, not the tail. I am an overcomer, I am a prosperer. I have been called into abundance, power, holiness, righteousness. I am saved, I am sanctified, I am his daughter. And she turns from the bathroom mirror towards me and says, boy, what you looking at? And I say, I just want to brush my teeth. And we both laugh. And the barber says, a boy who looks like his mother is blessed. And you don't know what gospel he been reading, but it make you smile real big, make your lineup feel real sharp. And even if your mother is not just your mother, look, you and her at Sonic's, you and her at JCPenney's, you and her third pew from the front, laughing, shouting, singing, stomping together. Woo, that was so fun to read. It's weird not having an audience because I'm used to faces, but I'm just gonna imagine. Oh, thank you for the little the emojis. Also, I just realized I did not time my reading, so I hope I'm okay on time. So yeah, I'm writing a book about like a little biography of my family and what my mom has taught me about men and love and God. And so it's been really fun. I'm just taking my time and not rushing it, enjoying the process. And so this last piece is about basically being in Japan 2020, being black in Japan during a pandemic. And it's, yeah, it'll be my last piece. And it's on the screen. Okay. So I'm going to read from a different screen, but I think all of y'all can see the poem on the screen. Okay, this is my last poem. I know my life matters, but how do I translate that into Japanese? Let me drink some water, actually. I feel a little hoarse. Okay. I know my life matters, but how do I translate that into Japanese? My students and coworkers worry, if I return to America, I'll catch COVID or a bullet in my back. I run along the Asano River, and above me, carpenter bees raid the chinaberry tree. Crows patrol the power lines. Mosquitoes swarm the bank and hum for blood. I swat, but I'm tailed by nothing but night. June 1st, across Japan, festival fireworks are shot beneath the ripening strawberry moon. Meanwhile, fire works its way through cars in downtown Rochester, and my mother says she can't watch the news anymore. I wish I could be that kind to myself. I spend hours thumbing Twitter, wondering, how does God manage being in more than 2 places at once? I know I'm safe here, but why am I still amazed no one follows me in the convenience stores? I wish it was as simple as saying America is the problem. Black folks have it better elsewhere, but there's blackface on national television. Children whispering scary as I turn into the ice cream aisle. I know nigga does not exist in the Japanese language. I know, at least here, I'll never be shot 7 times. And yet, on my way home from church, a police car slams its brakes. Officers dart across the street, tripping over concrete to ask, do you live here? Do you have any abunaimono, naifu, drogu? Can we see inside your bag? Do you understand? I understand that the longest lasting pandemic is man-made, spreads from culture to culture, has no cure you can buy with money. My students ask, in America, why do police hate black people? Does everyone protest? Does everyone have a gun? Are you homesick? Thank you so much, everyone, and I'm looking forward to seeing Asmaa's and Malcolm's reading or poems. And yeah, thank you so much.
Michael, thank you so much for blessing us with that amazing reading. I feel like one of the great privileges of emceeing is that I can just applaud audibly on behalf of everyone else who's gathered here on the Zoom call. And thank you so much. I mean, those poems had so much exuberance, so much momentum. I loved hearing the prose piece, and I feel like those poems they kind of take my breath away for a second and then restore me to some new form of life or vitality. So thank you so much for blessing us with that reading, and we can't wait to enjoy some conversation with you in just a little bit too, and dig into some of their content and form as well. So thank you. And now it's my great, yeah. And so now it's my great joy to have the privilege of introducing one of our 4 featured Cave Canem Starshine and Clay Fellows, Asmaa Jama. Awuwe, we heard you went into the night like a drone does, bared bones and still searching for land. I held lamps and marked our coordinates for days until my palms lanterned with wound fluid, drained and caved. I lay in my room. I won't pretend I prayed each day or at all to God. So writes Asmaa Jama in the opening lines of Abecedarian Asking for Witness, the first of a myriad mellifluously potent poems that comprise their award-winning submission to the inaugural Starshine and Clay Fellowship. Like each of the pieces in this refulgent sheaf, Jama's Abecedarian is as formally adroit as it is emotionally alert. as consummate in its lexical dexterity as it is catalytic in its poignancy. Like many of Jama's poems, which I pray will see gathered in a full-length collection soon, this piece constellates questions of human and divine presence and inexorable absence, orbiting around realities of loss in a way that stuns and summons, astonishes and admonishes, keens and redeems. Asmaa Jama is a Danish-born Somali artist, poet, and co-founder of Dakan Collective, a feminist art collective. They've been published in print and online in places like Ambit, ANMLY, The Good Journal, and as of this summer, EcoTheo Review. Jama's work has been translated into French, Swahili, Somali, Spanish, and Portuguese. Most recently, they were shortlisted for Brunel Africa Poetry Prize. Asmaa is an inaugural alumna of the Obsidian Foundation, and they are also, of course, wonderfully for all of us, an inaugural recipient of the Starshine and Clay Fellowship from Cave Canem. The word Awuwe in Somali means ancestor, and the foment of individual lament for a beloved elder that pools and plunges through and within the syntax of Jama's Abecedarian overbrims into direct address to the deity with whom that loved one has absconded or into whom have been submerged. Jama writes, "You were his netted koi. He left you faint plus struggling. For months let water turn air, turn water again. God more sore than salvation, more welt than way." Every poem is a love poem. Every poem is a political poem, writes Cave Canem fellow Jericho Brown. Every love poem is political. Every political poem must fall in love. You can't love me if you don't love politically. Reading Jama, one is moved to love not only these poems' speaker, but also everything their vitalizing voicing loves and sings into being. And finally, crucially, the reader is moved to contemplate how best to activate that love against the dehumanizing forces against which these poems witness. Ultimately, Abecedarian coalesces in a cataract of supplication and invocation as it concludes, "I dream you want, plus I float away, yelling like a burst starfish, or some zakat-worthy creature at a loss asking for witness." The word zakat in Arabic means almsgiving, and in the Islamic faith designates a form of religious obligation. The alms that these poems offer are a gift that invites a reciprocal and indeed political response, an offering of attention, of love that propels one into action on behalf of citizens of every polis. How blessed we are to be the recipients of such a generosity of language, of spirit, and of lyric witness as we welcome to Logos Asmaa Jama.
Thank you, Travis, for that introduction. And also, Michael, it's such a wonder to listen to your work as well. Okay, so I'm going to start by reading a ghazal called Self-Portrait as Mouth. One day in Ayaya's courtyard, I spelt Swahili, her real mouth. I put it on, snakebite to neck, hakuna, it would not seal mouth. School children promised to punctuate night with fires in our house. I had watched minarets burn, knew I could use water, its teal mouth. The dab was never meant to be survived, water towers alone, bore witness to each face entering the earth's concealed mouth. A Wawa re-enters my dreams, voice softened from asking for me. He leaves, my gullet folds into fabric, say it was real mouth. Bilal was the only black man Allah loved like a loose tooth. Let him turn pylon and convene, gave him his I can heal mouth. Abdi archived, each voice now gone on tape, and I ask to listen. His palms water, I don't want to hear his still wet real mouth. A child named for somebody once living will be born leaving here. No one knew till Abdul tore his cheek out, no cry from his steel mouth. A platoon of soldiers turned my uncles into ink every night. I played shadow, prayed, Asmaa be still, don't reveal mouth. This next poem is about my grandfather, and it's called Autopsy. At the end, my grandfather is somehow still together, bones and loose flesh, splayed viscera in a plain seat. He arrives at our home like a decorated war vet, except he has only survived himself, except no nation now wants him, except he has battled against the tide and lost every time, except he's missing all of his hair and most of his teeth. And when I see him, I collapse into my own shadow, and our house becomes filled with bodies again for the funeral. Except this time, I reconstruct his image. I hand over my packaged skin, and my grandfather takes an almost alive shape. And we attend the funeral together. Already there is oil being spilt into the ground, which is just Zaytoon's way of mourning him. And after eating pickled chilies, we drink until our insides cool. And at dawn, this time, I perform his autopsy. I place my hand into the palace of his skin and find in its lines the intestines that have swollen into small galaxies, pregnant lengths, and I write them odes. I write them fragile odes, somehow spilling ink onto his body, somehow pressing words like chosen and once loved. And the word for forgiveness and the word for blessing remain the same. And there is a slow rain that falls over his body, which is really the earth washing him as I tuck him away, like he has spilt taffeta, and my hands are rippling. And then I go to dig at the earth until it at last opens. And then I wrap him in a cloth. And then we press our foreheads to his ground, which is everywhere. And later the clouds part. And of course, this is a false body. And of course, it dissipates as we fold him, leaving only wet cotton, leaving only myself performing empty ceremonies, hollow gestures, hollow language burnt up and out. And all my syllables are half torn by grief, and my prayers return to me, asking to be sewn together, to be made more coherent things. Except I have no utterances, only gestures. I raise my palm to my chest. I place a finger to my head and my ocular bone and all the places that ripple and turn water. I want for better things, for peace. I want for smaller things, for a semblance of a gravestone, for one more missed call and the sound of his voice, for misbegotten camel hide. I ask again for his solid body, for malachite strong fingers, for a will to continue. And even my grandfather, tired of my trope, tired of returning in a wearisome body, sends smaller creatures, green amphibians, dark silent millipedes, at last a single goldfish, which is his way of asking for rest, which is his way of asking for peace, for an end to my constant surveillance, for the uttering of his name in my mouth, which is his way of saying, you are a stranger, hardly a grandchild. After you crossed the water, I lost your face, pale photograph in a while. I'm gonna drink water really quickly. Okay, so the next poem is called Ode to Abdis, and it's for Ragi, Mahmoud, and the countless others. What I would give to see you one last time, a whole body still shimmering and undone. What I would give to not see your mother gouge the earth and see you suckle her, even though you were already gone and could not find a way back into your mortal body. There is a story of the birds who were torn and made to dawn out of their rib cage until they were damp feathers, and an Abdi tried to put them together. Held them in his mouth and uttered, live, live, like he could create, like he could will a dead thing back. And my brother, also named Abdi, leaves every day and somehow comes back. And don't they gather their muscles in sweat? Don't they gather at a court that may as well be their unnamed, uncharted world at their feet, at their sneakered heel? Who needs another ode to basketball? This is an ode to the ways their bodies collide and no calamity happens yet. They stop for water, salah, and return once again to be doubles of each other, gesture by gesture. And what does it mean to go into a world and see your own face reflected back? Call Abdi and have 100 answer. And God came down and pulled the feathers out of that man's mouth and made more birds and discreetly opened the ground and dropped the carcasses in. And isn't this why Somalis keep bringing children into the world, like damp feathers, keep clinging to them till their palms slice? And isn't this why all the disappeared boys stay damp voids in their homes, despite all the clamor? I mean, you cannot noise a boy back. I remember the parents who tried to have other children, better children, ones that smiled more, ones that were more afraid of the sun. And they were wealth, but not in the ways anyone imagined. Gold no one claimed, portable grief made whole and living, and their fathers would call for them and call for them to return home. Call Abdi for the Abdi that had gone, instead of Samatar, or still here, or alive now in place of. Call for with misplaced misnomers till they learnt to respond. Empty name children, open wounds. That's kind of from my, I have like this obsession at the moment about repeat names, or this practice of naming children for people that have passed away and what that does. Okay, so this next poem is called Ahmed, and it's after Lena Khalaf Tufaha. Ahmed Alhamd, none for whom others are grateful. Ahmed alone, watching a fish move till he became a net, swallowing an anchor whole, threw off his body and was a blueprint home, a sight, a flotation device, a wound, iodine, the needle his brother used, the flame after, petrol shine on a black body, a mouthful of something which was everything. Ahmed say lodestar, say ocean in his first language, can't remember homonyms, carried the oud here anyway in his crevices, swallowed it drinkable, gave in hollow, caved, asked to be a shadow and was a hole, the bucket after, wanted, spent. Ahmed asleep the first time he missed his wife, turning mortal without land, say someone else's earth now. Ahmed thankful, prayer made out of thigh bones and sweat, folded to a God that couldn't hear him. Ahmed, all his children, all their names, oil in too distant water the last time they spoke, date pits to sand. Ahmed in wudu, water held in air, made the Atlantic mouthfuls with his palms. Okay, and now I'll read the last poem, which is Adversarian Asking for Witness. I'll drink a bit of water beforehand. All right. Oh, we heard you went into the night like a drone does, bared bones and still searching for land. I held lamps and marked our coordinates for days until my palms, lanterned with wound fluid, drained and caved. I lay in my room. I won't pretend I prayed each day or at all to God. You were his netted koi. He left you faint and struggling. For months let water turn air, turn water again. God more saw than salvation, more welt than way. I entered the sea, hands aloft, already asking for witness. Awowe, who left as a drone does, in static silence, Abba folded when he heard and stayed in sajda, whispering, give him Jannah. His body an archive of before, of the bees he chased, of his brown knees, now mounds from their mouths. Didn't you order him to kneel in the sea? Didn't you leave him knelt till sun no longer saving face bowed, shrunk to lone moon, asking for witness? Awowe, you left and took sleep, left palms emptied and shaking, all night, lantern-like, pressed to throat, then finding a slippage of silver knives, then every open second floor window asking for witness. Abba held my arms in the psychiatrist's room, waited as she asked how many times I wanted to leave, waited quietly as I lied, marked as Majnoon, as medicate, we walked home to rest, to placid lake, to self-containing body. Awowe, I was born exiting. I chose to stay. That day you called, I heard your breath surrender in your lungs for the last time, and I still told Abba stay. I let you slip into your death unwitnessed. I still see the photo of your body, the violent blue of your pupils' old water. I keep dreaming our bodies are oceans, that we try to drown each other. I watch you fill my pockets with hair and it leaves. I dream you want, and I float anyway, yellowing like a burst starfish or some Zaka-worthy creature at loss, asking for witness. Thank you.
Asmaa, thank you so very much for that absolutely luminous and transcendent reading. I love being able to see that Abecedarian printed on the page and the way that you just work the form so supplely and ably is beautiful. And that poem just shatters me in the best possible way every time I read it. So I feel like I'm rebuilt anew in some capacity. And I can't wait to talk with you about your engagement with form in just a couple minutes following our third poet's reading. It is our great delight to have a chance to introduce our collaborator and beloved poet to Cave Canem, Malcolm Tariq. Say this isn't the whole of it. This frail book and its sentence, somebody's too good and no good grin, somebody's god awful and too full mouth. So opens the body politic, one of the innumerable luminous lyrics that conflagrate within the pages of Malcolm Tariq's debut collection, Heed the Hollow, like buoys in the dark. These are poems that guard and gather, lift and level the layered truths of collective history and singular identity, singing of Southernesses, ambivalences, of Blacknesses, brilliances, of queernesses, vivacity, in a way that summons the reader to forget all that one was taught and attend to a new wisdom. These are poems that stagger and shatter with their candid and inimitable swagger, god awful, to employ Tariq's phrase, and awe-inducingly good. The body politic concludes, our lives will abandon the boundaries of the body, the way some bodies belong to the stage. I stay stating my name like it matters. I am, and I am, and I am. I am is the name that Yahweh discloses to Moses at the burning bush. Rabbinical tradition postulates that the bush was always burning. Moses just needed to see it with new eyes. Far from theological abstraction, God's self-declaration, like Tariq's, is a proclamation of the possibility of actual change within history. And like Moses's, Tariq's words, like those of all poet prophets who would speak the truth to hegemonic power, affect a liberation. Malcolm Tariq is a poet and playwright from Savannah, Georgia.
He is the author of Heed the Hollow,
winner of the 2018 Cave Canem Poetry Prize and the Georgia Author of the Year Award,
as well as extended play, Gertrude Press, 2017.
Malcolm is a 2016-2017 playwriting apprentice at Horizon Theater Company and was a finalist for the 2018 Princess Grace Fellowship with New Dramatists.
His plays have been developed by Working Title Playwrights and Brave New World Repertory Theater.
He has received fellowships from Cave Canem and the Watering Hole.
He is the 2020-2021 resident playwright with the Liberation Theater Company.
A graduate of Emory University, Malcolm has a PhD in English from the University of Michigan.
He lives in New York City. Do not seek the stone without the story, Tariq pleads, Or is it a warning in self-portrait as an unmarked grave? Tariq's poetics are marked by excavation and preservation. They trouble familiar narratives, introduce new ones, and blend well-known lines from the Bible to Billie Holiday in startling and invigorating ways. Readers come away from Heed the Hollow feeling as if the stone has been rolled away. Tariq is a poet of resurrection who does not want us to ignore the deep wounds and deaths that have been endured in Black and queer communities. The bottom, which is a recurrent motif in this collection, like the titular hollow we must heed, is both a geographic and spiritual location, an erotic zone filled paradoxically with power and powerlessness. In sequences, sonnets, and sestinas, Tariq commands craft to make readers feel pleasure, sorrow, shame, desire, and joy. The collection ends with a litany of praise, which is surely how you, friends, will want to respond to his reading. Please welcome Malcolm Tariq.
Oh, hi. Can you hear? Good. Okay. Thank you so much, Travis and Jason, for that introduction. When you started reading the bio, I thought it was over, so I turned on my camera, and then it kept going, and I didn't, like Michael said, I didn't want to blush on camera, so I was trying to keep it together, but that was just very beautiful and thoughtful, and thank you so much for engaging with the book in that way. And we'll talk later about this, but it's been such a joy working with you for this fellowship over the past year. So I'm just going to start reading, and I'll talk throughout, and then we'll continue later on. I've been having a lot of friends coming to town recently. I think it's just the season for people traveling, perhaps, before it gets kind of cold. And so I'm going to start off. I usually don't start off a reading with this poem, but this is when I lived in Ann Arbor, Michigan in grad school. I lived in a house with two other people, and we had a room called the twerk room. And it was where we, there was nothing in it. And so we just called it the twerk room, and it was just where we had parties. And eventually I used it also as like a gallery space for myself. It was like a multi-purpose party room, twerk room. And so I usually close with this poem towards the end, just in celebration of my friends, but I'm gonna start with Malcolm Tariq's Black Bottom. We called it the twerk room, and dimmed lights at house parties to grind our bodies against walls and each other. We're two Black boys in Michigan, Georgia, and Mississippi, spiraling slowly. There are names for people like us, and we live into them. My ass fits perfectly in the seat of his person, speaks to the air between us where I feel him rise and reach. Now his legs guide us into the familiar. We bend into the blade of a scythe. Outside, our ancestors are folding fields, grinding to heel-toe seed into the ground, their feet drilling new life, bodies bent in heat to clap the earth up and down, Black bottoms waiting in air, a feast for house eyes. We slow drag in a dark room while they built a house bottom to top, making their own cabins bend into home. They wait at the back of the house, no room to make themselves in rooms they made themselves. I reach for a man under blue light, my feet planted as stone, my hands on my thighs. He eyes a bottom bending its weight to balance us both as the walls around us come down. And if my people built the house, I place it in the homely arch in the small of my back and shake what I am given. The next poem I'm going to read, so this is, I think Travis was speaking, quoted heavily from this poem. It's called The Body Politic. I've been watching a lot of Oz, which was a show, I think late 90s, early 2000s. I don't know why. This is a show that I watch on the way to sleep. You should not watch this show while you're falling asleep, but I do it nowadays. But I've also just been watching a lot of 90s shows. And this is a poem that I wrote. I was inspired to write after teaching freshmen at the University of Michigan. And this is when Obama was president, and we were discussing the body politic, and they thought that Black people could participate in the body politic because we had a Black president. And I was also reminded while I was writing this of a time when one of my uncles took another uncle to visit his son in jail, and I went with him when I was very young, like no older than 10. And when we left, my uncle said, "What did you notice?" And I was like, "I don't know." And he said, "Everybody in the waiting room was Black." And that just stayed with me for a very long time. And I think about it when watching Oz on my way to sleep. Don't do that. This is the body politic. Say this isn't the whole of it, this frail book and its sentence. Somebody's too good and no good grin. Somebody's god-awful and too full mouth. Somebody's tired. Somebody rattles the cage, another will die under. Somebody's sickle and somebody's cell. Somebody be out there cotton picking mine. Somebody's else be all up in it. I mean the weight of a dime in my hand before collection. I'm talking Sunday be somebody's lifeline, somebody's prison whose body's a pipeline. Teacher's judgment against my house, collateral. I'm counting books and lives, putting money on books and bailouts. Despite this Black president, I'm thinking slumlords and thug porn. Family courting the law while your mama's so fat and somebody's big Black. 3/5 a body's sum, body's worth in inches. Who's back a bridge? Who's broken daddy's back on crack? Somebody stepped on the beat, we dug it. A body was bodied while politicking who done it. Somebody's well-meaning and no good intention. Somebody's everyday and everybody you love, somebody's lost. Nobody's somebody you can't give back. Somebody's something paid for it. Somebody's wound be somebody's gun. Somebody's baby against bullet. The plot quickens. Headstone bodies be bodying days. Centuries book in the dash. Our lives will fit within it. Our lives will abandon the boundaries of the body. The way some bodies belong to the state, I say stating my name like it matters. I am, and I am, and I am. Should I go there? I'll go there. Yeah, I'll go there. Okay. There's nothing. Oh, so at Cave Canem, when I'm at the retreat as a fellow, I usually have a question of the day that I just do for fun. And I just ask everybody about the question of the day. And, it's like a kiki, it's fun, whatever. And the first line of this poem was the question of the day for that day. This poem is called Fucking a Proclamation. What if the ancestors are watching us fuck? I wouldn't mind inspection. My aunts doubled over laughter at your hands lock on my ass. I've come this far to surrender, witness to the crashing of our bodies. And if she is smoking, she passes the joint to a grandmother whose neck is clasped tightly by the missus, flinging in rhythm to our swinging, still sucking and blowing the smoke into our faces. Be they privy and proud of what our tongues have made of lashing, how they've learned to call fleshly desire into the living. We fight and call it want. Your hands bury me as a matter of need. For coming this close to death is our own doing and undoing. The ancestors are watching us fuck, and I'm holding your backs unmarked smooth, my mind still a scatter. For the man has told us we're no good for anything but fucking. Our bodies are material interests, the wood frame balancing another, the paper map marking so many journeys but our own. Called brute, savage, boy, we suck dicks but they are hard to swallow. Every bit is but a sight of terror, the rope kissing the neck, embracing the ankles, the wrists, my mouth stuffed with your fingers, tasting of blood is but for how I choose to undo. How to fuck in spite of. When you shoot, there I am, and so is the uncle's uncle, our baby mama, our daddy's head knocked up by the master's pistol cock, cracking cranium. Oh, the faces I've pillowed and longed to forget. The ancestors fucked between tabby walls left to ruin. On dirt floors they fumbled, leaving seed inside the earth's bottom. Lover, we are furious flowers, and just as brutally I'd ride a dick to save my life's joy. And if the ancestors are watching on this night, they've praised this woeful bottom. They've clapped in rhythm to the headboard. They've stomped with every crescendo, caught gasping for air, for finally this body is open, and this body, it is mine. Oh, why didn't I choose that one? Which one was that? 3, 4. I did not plan to read this poem, and I don't know why. I just flipped across it in the book, so I'm going to add it to the list. This is the title poem, Heat the Hollow, and that's all you need to know. It's just the title poem. Heat the Hollow. I want to remember everything that has happened to me. History of my flesh, scar of her miscarriage. I take my own pills as I once learned to sign for my mother's birth control, preventative measures. I am learning to reproduce myself with the shape of my mouth's consuming. I'll swallow everything. I have to forget to live the way men read labels as invitations. I've heard women in my family talk of assault as I've heard men talk of assaulting. I'll be something to someone someday or nothing but spill. Truth be told, I want to be the last side effect in the disease. I'll settle for a curse. I'm trying to remember to forget the colonizer's name on my medical chart, scripting my back. I straighten into narrative and carry it in spite of my name, how he grabs me as if prescribed. I want to forget the way he's had me over the counter taking him, the way he said you were almost a power bottom. And so now I'm going to read a poem. It's called Venus in Retrograde. Mercury was just in retrograde. We survived. It ended on the 18th. And so a retrograde, it usually just means you're like going backwards. So it usually means a planet is going backwards. And so whatever that planet rules is what you need to watch out for. I don't actually know what Venus rules. And so I think I wrote this while Venus was in retrograde years ago. And this is from my chapbook extended play. This is probably the only poem I read from this chapbook ever. But I really like this poem. So this is Venus in retrograde. I want to know how many men I've touched. So many men with this body, these hands, this mouth still dry with thirst. I wonder how many men I've touched. So many men in the time I've had to feel what men feel when they feel. So many men still touching them in the times they've touched me with hands, eyes, mouth, bone, all the wrong muscles. I've learned to find the space allowed me. Even partly breaking contact stings the skin. These thoughts still feel the mind knows where it's found. After all this time, I want to know how many men I've haunted. Which men dreaming of me, the things I left behind when I left, they never did. And I'll just read, looking at the time. I will read 2 to 3 more. This next one is, so the first poem I read was, I usually just read it for my friends, just thinking of the times we had in Ann Arbor together when we were, what's that Lana Del Rey song, Young and Beautiful? And that was also a song that played the first summer we got there in 2013. But this is a poem dedicated to a friend, David D. Hutchinson, who passed away by suicide in May. And David and I spent a couple years in Ann Arbor together before I left. And I hadn't seen them. I saw them a few times since. But for the funeral, I went to Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, I believe, where they're from. And I just learned a lot about their life when I was there, just being around their mother, who they talked about a lot, and their family. And I was just wondering that, if I wonder if Dee was trying to live out a life that they did not get as a young boy when they were growing up, which I think is a narrative that a lot of queer people have, especially a lot of Black queer people. And so this is a poem. I have not looked at this poem in a very long time. It's unedited, and I'm just going to read it to honor David, but also a lot of other queer people we've lost in the last couple of years during the pandemic. And the poem is just called David. A man sat on my porch and looking out into the clear distance saw the whole of night over us. The stars danced, but he was the brightest. A man sat on my porch, and unknown to us, I saw the boy he was peeking out, the way he wanted to dance freely beneath the stars. My friend sat on the porch. We gave his man to the stars, the boy he left behind. What could I do but hold him? And before I read my last poem, I just want to extend a lot of gratitude and appreciation to Michael and Jama and Asmaa for reading. I was just arrested with inspiration as you were reading, and also I haven't had a lot of time to write because I had friends in town. And in fact, one of them just kept asking me the other day, are you all right? And I said, I'm fine. I'm just reciting lines in my head just because I haven't had time to write them down. And just hearing you read, I just blocked everything out because it was just so touching, so moving, and it just hit everything that I needed. So thank you so much. And I mean, I've been reading your work for a while, so just hearing it for the first time also was just, I'm so blessed and just so honored that I could be here with you. So I'm just going to read this last poem. What's this last? Bottom Power. Okay. This is Bottom Power. Praise the bottom of USA, her blood and sweat in spite of death. Deep gulf, spinning sea, stretch of moist marsh cultured into giving, whose salt tears trail into the vast forever and unknown. Praise the plush bottom of USA. Its tangle of fiber a seat in sanctuary, the soft pulled from bowl by hard hands, afterlife living in the leftover lust of pride. Praise the hard bottom of USA. His cane erected woefully in your honor. Sweet juice on the chin, the return each year bent on living, whose seed lives on in rich rum-filled romance and rife abandon. Praise the soft bottom of USA. Her sugar tit still raw with rot of generations, her cotton gin gyration inflected into the gains of children chattering rhymes on the street corner. Praise the sweet bottom of the South. Our heft of holler ringing into present tense, the lift of fist festered into submission, the perverse sway of swamp housing the hush of history, the hollow of saltwater cyclone seeing and sealing truth, our tapestry of tabby toppling over as testimony. Praise the bottom of the black bottom, everything lost and lingering, our bone of brick still breaking, our emptiness, our backward lick of life, our distant desire, our queer quiet, our will and want, our silent sighs, exalting the cleft clit still singing in the labor of love. Praise the black bottom of the bottom, praise the blackest bottom, praise the bottom most black, praise the black, praise the black, praise the bottom, praise the bottom, praise the bottom. Thank you.
Hallelujah. Praise the bottom indeed, Malcolm. Thank you so very much for blessing us with that poem and with just such an absolutely gorgeous reading and galvanizing reading. And this is the portion in our program where if we were gathered around those polished pine tables at Lazarus Brewing Company, we would invite all of our participants, anyone here gathered, our congregation, so to speak, to turn to one another and perhaps contemplate and consider some of these questions in light of the readings we've all been absorbing. to look at the printed poems that concluded each of your sets and ask which elements in these poems moved you. How did the language help create the emotional experience you had hearing or reading the poem? And then, because I'm an Episcopal priest and the preacher in me can't help it, the application question: what might this poem be inviting you to consider or live into in the context of your own life? And we so hope that one day we can run this back and all gather together in some sort of embodied fashion, either here in Austin or in Wyoming or elsewhere. But there's just such a magic in translating these gatherings from analog to digital, because I think this is the first reading and Logos gathering we've had. We have poets representing 3 continents geographically. So Asmaa, to have you calling in from the UK, and Michael, early your morning time in Japan, it's just such a joy to be with you. And I also wanted to just take a moment to acknowledge Cynthia Norman, you and your amazing work serving as our ASL interpreter. It's just such an art and beautiful fluency that you offer. So it's a joy to hold this space with you. And now we'll just have a couple minutes of curated conversation with our poets. This would usually sort of open into a larger Q&A with everyone here gathered. So we'd invite you, if you have questions or thoughts for the poets, go ahead and drop those into the chat, and we'll tend to them as they arise. I think the poets have, I believe, also expressed their willingness to hang out on the Zoom call for a few minutes after the Facebook live stream ends, so we can have a little bit more personable interchange then as well. But Malcolm and Asmaa and Michael, as I listened to you read and as I spent time absorbing your work in preparation for this gathering, I just kept thinking about that Jericho Brown quote that I referenced in my introduction to your work, Asmaa, and that idea of every poem being a love poem, every poem being a political poem, and having to love politically in some sense. And I think that's a virtue or a commitment we always lift up at Logos. We want to read poems that help us see the world and those who move through it more clearly, so that we can love more clearly all the things and people we see and put that love in action. And I was just thinking, I mean, the thematics of the body just seem to continue emerging throughout your work as well. And so I'm thinking of the way that the body is sort of a locus for eros and for love. And also we have this idea of tending to sort of the body politic. So I'd maybe just love to hear each of you talk about sort of what poems can work in us in terms of how we attend to the bodies of others, either in sort of whatever kind of expansive or focused sense that you might talk about love, or if you want to talk about loving politically, but sort of what can poems work in and through us in terms of how we love and respond to other bodies? And I don't know who wants to, I feel like my questions are longer than responses need to be, but yeah, Asmaa.
That's a really great question. And I think it kind of made me think about I guess in the poems I've read today and just in general, I think a lot about death and rituals around death, and I guess how you have like the washing of the body, which I think is always a very delicate and tender act in it. And that one poem, Autopsy, I think it was me. I think there was a prompt actually once, which was like, imagine walking into a room and having to prepare a loved one for a funeral, and then really like slowing down every single, movement or motion that you would do. And I think maybe that's something that poetry allows for, that you can kind of get lost in the images, and I don't know, that it can kind of transform something. I do think it is beautiful anyway, like all of those rituals around death, but it somehow transforms it.
Yeah, and those rituals just like feel to me like true poesis in some ways, in that sense of doing and making. It's kind of like an embodying of a truth, which, you know, poems I feel like perform spiritual truth, psychological truth in a way that more discursive forms of writing can't. And rituals just feels like it's an enactment of those truths too. I love that, Asmaa. How about you, Michael and Malcolm? How do you think about poetry and and embodiment?
Yeah, I'm thinking about love, because I kind of like, I don't know if anyone watches Avatar: The Last Airbender or has seen it, but there's like the four elements: water, fire, earth, and air. And I kind of divide love into those four categories as
Wow.
well. Like we have romantic and sexual, we have family, we have friends, and we have God. I feel like I'm slowly working through my different loves, and I'm stuck in the family love right now, which I kind of grieved for a while, but now I'm just like, no, no, just go deep into it, and eventually I'll get to like the other writing about the other types of loves. But I guess for me, I think it's so important. Like love is political because it's all about desire and wanting something, and there's always going to be like obstacles that prevent the speaker or the poet or us from getting what we love, whether that be death or whether that be like any of the systematic like oppressions, racism, homophobia, etc., etc. Um, I think that's all I have to say so far.
I've been thinking about that Jericho Brown tweet for a minute, and I think in another reading I asked other people what they thought. But I think maybe this is probably the playwright in me, but in terms of love, I feel like if every poem is a love poem, that means something is at stake that you are trying to fight for or hold on to or
Mm-hmm.
advocate for. And I think that that is, at first I was like, I don't know if that's true, Jericho. But now I see it. I'm like, okay, yeah, every poem can be a love poem if there's that thing where something is at stake. And when I was living in DC this summer of 2016, there were a lot of like murders of black people at the hands of police. And I remember walking down, I think Capitol Street on the way home after work and almost running home to write a poem on a Friday night and not stopping until I was done with the draft. And is that a love poem? Like something to me was, there was something that I was feeling, something that was very like Black Lives Matter, basically. Why, how do I connect to that? Like, I think that is what was driving me to write that. So, and I think that is true for that poem. Like, it's not romantic love. It's not but it's like a love of self, a love of Black people, love of community. Like Michael was saying, like there's different types of love, and so I'm into it more nowadays. I get what Jericho was saying.
I just sent Jason a direct message. I said, let me ask one more. And he said, we're at about 20 minutes after the hour. So maybe we should just have one more question. I feel like we could keep having this conversation all night, but I'm going to mute myself now.
Yeah, I would love to keep talking with all of you and keep hearing more of your poems. It was such a gorgeous and generative reading. I feel like Malcolm, where like, yeah, everything that each of you read was like, oh, I want to go right now. Like I want to process and get into my own work. And Asmaa, as I was reading and hearing your abecedarian, it was making me think of a book that I've been spending time with this year by David Abram called The Spell of the Sensuous. And he writes in that book about kind of the nature of language as an ecological phenomenon and as an erotic phenomenon, and how language in a lot of ways has gotten divorced from those sources, but at its heart, it is sort of this sensuous fact that is a way of us putting words to our bodily experience. And I'd just be curious to hear kind of when you're working on poems, kind of one, what is it that gets you into the poem? Is it often a line, a sort of a phrase, of something that you're hearing? Is it an image? Is it an experience? How do you get into the poem, and then as you're maybe crafting and revising, are you paying closer attention to certain forms, as far as kind of, yeah, line and rhythm, or really focused on image, or something else? So.
Okay, maybe I'll answer first again. But I really resonated with what you were saying, Malcolm, and I even wrote down on my arm one of your lines, like what could I do but hold him? But I resonated with what you were saying about like having to run home and write a poem. And I think that's often what it feels like. It kind of feels like or a lot of us are just being bombarded, especially being Black, or I guess, you know, being Somali as well here. I just feel like I feel or have felt so perhaps close to death, or just, I don't know, it just, yeah, it feels like every day there's something else happening. And then this is the way to like kind of work through it, or it feels like I have to write. And I don't think I focus so much on form at first. I think I focus on yeah, I don't know, trying to like tap into a particular feeling. And I think also there are a lot of like images that happen anyway, because I'm more inspired by films, or I see like the pictures in my head. Yeah. Oh, I think that answers your question. But it feels more like a need. And then sometimes I just end up with like 15 poems that are all just trying to like talk about the same thing, but they're not quite like reaching where I want it to reach. So I just keep like revisiting the same idea.
Yeah, I'd say similar for me. Writing like feels necessary. I wrote a lot in 2020, like so much so that in 2021 I just took a break from writing. And I was like, at first it was like, oh, this is cute. It was like for a month. I was like, wow, okay. I just feel like I'm gonna look at birds and stuff. Then it just kept going, the break, and it was about like it was a couple months, and I just felt people would ask me how are you, and I couldn't really pinpoint what was wrong. And then I realized I wasn't producing something, and I wasn't like working through myself, and I felt so isolated or dislocated. So now I'm writing more regularly, and I realize, oh, this is actually what my spirit wants, is to keep like interrogating the world. So for me, I just got an Apple Watch recently, and it's so nice because now when a line comes to me, I can just press record and just speak really quickly into it, and then come back to it later. I used to just repeat it over and over until I memorized it, but now I just feel like I have all these little bits and pieces. So I feel like language is always coming to me in music and questions, and like I need that first line or title to really get me going. I feel like yeah, that's what I have to say so far. Hmm.
Uh, well, a lot of thoughts. These are deep questions. I think a lot in motion, or like while I'm doing things, and I think sometimes with water, even though I don't know how to swim. But like if I'm showering or washing the dishes, like I'm constantly like thinking about a lot of things. But also while I'm walking, like I was saying earlier, just running lines through my head. And I think I'm looking for kind of to what you were, that's why I wrote down the name of the book you were saying, Jason, because I think I'm looking for a lot of times something that touches me in a way. And the poem starts with me, and then it's like, how does it, how can I make this also touch another person? Or like, do I want it to touch another person? Like, does that matter? Because sometimes that doesn't matter. And a lot of times it'll reach another person in a way that I didn't intend. And so I try not to think about that as much, but it's still a thought. Um, yeah, I don't think I have much to add except for that. Is that I'm just trying to, a lot of poetry to me starts with like it's a very personal engagement, and just what what speaks to me. And then when I start into the editing phase, it's more technical, and then maybe I'll introduce a form. And sometimes the form helps with that, and sometimes it doesn't. I've also been thinking a lot about what form does for a certain poem or a certain feel for what I'm getting at. But a lot of times, and I think that's why I write my poems down instead of typing them first, because it's a very personal engagement with me. And so I have notebooks and notebooks. I was trying to find an Eve Sedgwick article the other day in a box of papers that I have not located, but I just uncovered journals I did not know I had. And it's just a lot of thoughts in addition to the lines, and a lot of drawings and things. And so, yeah, a lot comes from trying to just get the line or the word or the poem out. It's a lot of labor, but it's also a lot of work, emotional work. And I don't like that, but I do like that as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that paradox. Yeah. And I'm really wishing that we were at Lazarus or somewhere where we were all together and we could go refresh our drinks and keep having these conversations about what forms do and where poems come from and life and death and all of the ways that we can embody things that we want to embody. I want to thank each of you again for being here today, tonight, whatever time zone you're in. It's been such a joy and pleasure to get to share this time and this space with you and with your poetry. So I hope that those of you that have been with us today have greatly enjoyed the poetry that you've encountered, and will go and encounter more of their work. Keep an eye out for Michael and Asmaa's work as they come towards their books. And we do hope that you'll also look for Malcolm's book, Heed the Hollow. We are glad to partner with our dear friends at Bookwoman. I don't know if Susan is on the call, but Susan Post is the owner of Bookwoman and a wonderful friend and supporter of our work. And so if you are so inclined to purchase a book this evening, we encourage you to do so through Bookwoman. There you are, Susan. Hello. Yeah, you'll find kind of the page at Bookwoman for all Logos poets, and hope that you'll support Malcolm's work and find some other wonderful poets while you're browsing. And to give you a sense of what we have coming up, next month in November, we're going to have another virtual Logos gathering with Carolyn Forche and Belgina Mort. That'll be on November 16th. We will also have, I don't know if Travis, if you want to speak to the event that's going to be in DC. I don't know if that's something that is open to the public, if people are in DC that they would want to check out, or.
Absolutely. So Image Journal is going to be hosting a Logos gathering on the evening of November 30th, featuring Jericho Brown and Marilyn Nelson. So if you're in the DC area, we'd love for you to join us. There'll be details on the Logos Facebook page and on the EcoTheo Collective website as well. So yeah, if you're in the DC area or want to travel there, come and hang. We'd love to see you.
Great. And then in December, we'll close out the year with Laurie Sorborn and Angela Torres. So hope that you'll join us for those virtual gatherings. And if you're in DC, you'll definitely want to go and listen to Jericho and Marilyn. So as Travis mentioned earlier, EcoTheo Collective operates a variety of projects, including in collaboration with Cave Canem, the Starshine and Clay Fellowship. We publish EcoTheo Review, which is an online and quarterly print magazine. And our autumn issue is coming from the printer any day. It features interviews with Kaba Akbar, a joint interview with Ross Gay and Amy Nizuka Matadal about their recent chapbook together, and some beautiful writing and art. Our winter issue is in progress with an interview with Natasha Dion, who has an amazing new novel coming out. She's the guest judge for our fiction prize this year, and an interview with Willie James Jennings, an extraordinary theologian at Yale Divinity School. So we want to encourage you and invite you to read EcoTheo online and subscribe to the magazine, which you can find out more about all that we do at ecotheo.org. Again, thank you, Michael and Asmaa, Malcolm, for being here this evening. Starshine and Clay Fellowship was something that emerged about goodness, well over a year ago, as we connected with Malcolm through our dear friend Amanda Johnston. I just want to echo Malcolm's words. It's been such a joy getting to really birth this together and to envision a fellowship that would support these incredible poets and also honor the legacy of a poet who has meant so much to us. Good News About the Earth is a book that is dog-eared on my bookshelf, and I've just been spending time with Araceli Skirmai's amazing selection of Lucille Clifton's work, How to Carry Water, and one of the uncollected poems at the end of that book I was thinking of during the reading of your last poem, Malcolm. It's called All Praises, and it's so short that I just want to share it as a way of bringing Lucille into the space. All praises. Praise impossible things. Praise to hot ice. Praise flying fish. Whole numbers. Praise impossible things. Praise all creation. Praise the presence among us of the unfenced is. It's just been glorious getting to experience the first year of this fellowship, and we look forward to seeing what's to come. We had a wonderful time in Wyoming in July, where Greg Pardlow, our inaugural guest judge, read with Ashunda Norris and Oak Morris, the two other fellows this year. So we're really looking forward to continuing to celebrate the work of these poets and seeing what comes in the years to come with the Starshine and Clay Fellowship. And now we'd like to invite our extraordinary partners at Cave Canem. I know Lisa Willis, their executive director, is with us. So Lisa, we'd love for you to just say a word about what's going on this fall at Cave Canem.
Thank you, Jason and Travis. Those were such beautiful readings, Asmaa and Michael. We celebrate you and look forward to seeing you both continue to shine. And Malcolm, I just want to take this moment to say thank you for your work with Cave Canem and beyond in the service of Black poetry. We are so happy to be in partnership with EcoTheo Collective and the Starshine and Clay Fellowship. Cultivating the artistic and professional growth of African American poets is central to our core mission. We're dedicated to enlarging the American literary canon and expanding the notion of what's possible and valuable in poetry. So for all those reasons and more, we're honored to be in community with you here. Our next event is Monday, October 25th at 6. It's a program that's curated by Malcolm and entitled New Works, Our Intimate Making. And it will feature Derek Austin, Richard Hamilton, Carly Ingram, and moderated by another CC fellow, Christopher Greggs, presented in partnership with the New School Creative Writing Program. For more information, I invite you to check out our website where you can learn more about our programming and sign up for our newsletter. Travis and Jason, thank you again for your partnership in making space for this beautiful gathering tonight.
Thank you, Lisa. That sounds like such a wonderful event. I love Derek Austin's work, and so I'm going to try to tune in for that. I know.
Friends, what an absolute joy it is to be a part of this collaboration. As we've expressed to you, Lisa, and to you, Malcolm, I feel like the collaboration with Cave Canem is without a doubt the work that we're most proud to be a part of, and we feel humbled and honored to be brought into this collaboration to support and amplify the work of 4 emerging Black poets, and just really look forward to seeing all that it evolves and incarnates into in the years ahead. And thank you so much, Michael and Asmaa, for blessing us with your poetry and presence. We're so grateful for everyone who took time, especially if you're in an East or Central Coast sort of Saturday evening mode, to be here with us tonight. And now, just as we opened our reading, we'll read a closing benediction poem together, and I'll ring our prayer bell in just a moment. And we hope that this final recitation of a collaborative reading of this beautiful poem by Camilla Aisha Moon will bless and speed you out into your evening. So thank you so very much, friends, for being with us. I invite you to take a moment to ground and center yourselves once more, to draw your attention to breath, to the presence of spirit. It's always already here as we draw our hearts and minds together for a moment of quiet before we read this closing benediction poem.
Tonight's poem for the benediction is in honor of Camilla Aisha Moon, who was a Cave Canem Fellow and a wonderful poet and a great person who passed away last month in September. She has been in our hearts and minds, and what a wonderful occasion with EcoTheo to pay tribute to the legacy that she's left. I'll just say that. Irony by Camilla Aisha Moon. It would be now when you feel
Want is no longer your enemy.
that your body and soul would kneel.
Oh, it would be now when you feel
You've called joy, seized a new zeal.
that death grabs you, fingers icy.
It would be now when you feel
Want is no longer your enemy.
Thank you, Malcolm and Asmaa, for blessing us with that beautiful reading. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you to all of you who joined us tonight. We hope you have a very blessed evening and a lovely rest of your October, and we look forward to seeing you sometime very soon. Go in peace, y'all, and see you very soon.